So the thing with mulch, you can put it down, but if you don't attend to the weeds first, that weed gonna be like, hey boo, I'm right here. Yeah. Okay. So
that's where I was gonna
mulch
go.
makes things look prettier, makes things look more uniform. But if you don't deal with the weeds first.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was gonna go, because that's why I went from weeds to mulch, because that's kind of, you gotta prune, then you gotta weed, and then you put the mulch. But if you're not attending or keeping an eye on, the weeds, you putting the mulch it's gonna continue to grow out. And instead of you starving the weeds because you didn't pull them out, all you're gonna do is give it the nutrients to continue to grow.
This is the B-side of marriage. This is the B-side of marriage.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Bside of Marriage Podcast. I am your host, Rashonda, and this is my husband and co-host,
Jason.
And here we discuss everything related to marriage, the good, the bad,
the A and the B side.
And we want to thank you for tuning in again. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Welcome to the family.
Welcome.
Yes. And so if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on any of the podcasting platforms, please be sure to rate and review so that others can help find the show.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Bside of Marriage and on Facebook at the Bside of Marriage.
Okay, now on to the show. Okay, so let's kick off with our first segment, which we like to call the A or a B side moment, where we share either a positive or not so positive moment from our week. That's basically it.
So I'll get started. So
and Jay always goes
first.
I
always go first. So I'll get started. So I'm going to say I have an A side moment. So
okay.
It's, I guess, coming off what we talked about last week. We actually did Easter service this year. So I was it was what I needed. I would say it like that. I'm not gonna say for us. I'm saying for myself. It's what I needed. It's something that been missing. So it was a real good, real great service. I got some things released off me, which was awesome as well. Mm-hmm. So that's mine.
Okay, I'm gonna go with A side as well, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said. I think Easter has been the last few years, just prior to COVID.
About production.
Huh?
About production.
Yes. Well, I'm just saying prior to COVID, Easter has always been a busy time for us.
Yeah.
Extremely stressful. Has caused us to really lose the real meaning of what Easter is, with it being the resurrection of our Christ. So it was good really this year being able to take a step back from all of the production part, because that's the one thing when you're involved in church is that this is like our Super Bowl Sunday. So all productions of services are huge. And then there's the egg hunts that used to stress me out because special events. So it was just it was just so much. And so it was really great to be able to partake in church service where we got to really focus on Jesus.
Yes.
And
it
was no foo-foo-la. It was literally just praise and worship in the word.
Yes.
And then having an encounter with Jesus. So that was good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So next we go into the peer-to-peer share.
P2P. Yes. So
since I introduced you, go first now.
You didn't even introduce it though. You just said we about to do it.
Okay.
But what is it?
See. So the peer-to-peer share is, and I'm gonna go back how, back in the day we had Napster, all those things, we sharing files back and forth. But we're gonna share something we're listening to, watching that we've, over this past week that we've listened to or watched. So.
Okay, and I can go first because I watched the Easter verses with Mary and BB and CC Winans, and that gave me life. Oh, it was great. So, because what was really good for me to see, or just kind of like, it really took me back, was because when I first, I was raised in a very traditional Baptist church. Like, there was no listening to the radio. Like, you had to do all that, behind, or you gotta sneak and do all that, and even watching TV. Like, the only TV shows that we were allowed to watch was The Cosby Show, A Different World, and then of course Sesame Street and all that stuff. So big range, right? So anyways, so listening to BB and CC Winans, it's I was like, ooh yeah, my contemporary Christian, oh yeah. So seeing them and just seeing CC just be like, listen, y'all trying to be out here trying to entertain folks. I am here to save souls.
I ain't got to do all that anymore.
I don't have to do all that. I don't even have to sing all these notes anymore. Because literally she's like, I don't have anything to prove to y'all.
Yeah.
This is about me worshiping my God. And, if it resonates with you, great. If not, great. Because I'm going to do me. And y'all can be doing all this extra. BB was trying to act like he was 23. Up there bouncing. And I was like, okay, it was so great. And then Mary, and I didn't realize that I knew a lot of Mary songs, but I should have, because, when they came out with Shackles, that was or the follow-up to, Kirk Franklin's, where's Christian music going? We're going down the wrong path kind of thing. So anyways, it was great. I was singing. My kids were like, how do you know all the words? And I was like, I do not know, which is why I knew I have sung these songs so often that it was like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Because I butcher lyrics all the time. Which is why I like to remix, because I never remember the words.
Yep.
So for me to just be able to live that and them see it, and then, it was a good time.
See, I'm just gonna piggyback because that was, to me, that was also kind of my peer-to-peer share. I don't have anything I think that was it, because for me, listening to BB and CC Winans, I told my wife, is before I became saved, I didn't know BB and CC Winans was Christian. I'm not saying I didn't know they was Christian. I didn't know they was singing about Christian songs.
Yes.
So for me, when all their songs, I knew all their songs because those are the songs my mom used to play, on Saturday mornings, and I used to just jam to them because I'll be honest with you, I thought BB and CC were like a husband and wife, what is it? Asher the Simpson. That's because again, I didn't.
They were love songs.
Yeah, because I thought they was love songs. So that's for me. I was just singing these songs, but it also, like I said, it reminded me of those Saturday mornings with my mom, always, having us clean and stuff like that. So that's I knew pretty much all the Mary songs because I maybe not a few, but most of them I kind of knew because it was mainstream. Well,
this was I feel like Mary was more mainstream, but BB and CC took me back.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this song. And then I feel like also too, I feel like Mary's music grabs your attention. Mm-hmm. Attention grabbers, their lyrics are powerful too. But then when BB and CC is just their songs. Yeah. And so there's the one comedian that I follow. She was like, BB and CC got them lyrics from the tomb. So it was Jesus rose, and Jesus was like, I don't need those lyrics anymore. Y'all go ahead and take them. They're like, all right, we got these. We're gonna put this in a song. Cause they went way back, and I didn't realize how far back they were going. But so it was it was interesting. And it was fun. It was really it was fun. Once BB got over this is a battle kind of thing, which I was like, Lord Jesus, where you going? But anyways, once he got over that, then it was a great process.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay. So that's like, so yeah, I'm sure there's like snippets. There's probably still out on the YouTubes.
And
check it out.
On Instagram, probably you can still watch the whole thing.
Probably can.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Today I'm gonna do the episode today. Oh, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you kind of a little story real quick. So about 3 weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I was finishing up a devotional, the Tony Evans devotional, and it was talking about, it was I used to have to read the scripture, John 15, verse 2. And I'll read the scripture real quick. So the scripture is, every branch in me that does not produce fruit, he removes, and he prunes every branch that produces fruit so that it will produce more fruit. So literally it was, not to say it was weird, but just reading that, I was so interested about what pruning meant. What is pruning? Like, what is the process? Not just the definition, but what is the process? So I started to dive into like what the meaning of pruning is and how you actually do it, like especially like with grapes. So and then at the same time, like I started to notice things in my environment, like taking the kids to school. I noticed that there was trees pruned, and then I saw some flower beds pruned. So it was like I didn't really realize the importance of it until kind of like diving in and getting more research about it. So today we're gonna kind of talk about pruning a marriage. So, with the season that we're still in, being the pandemic, and it's going down, but it's still in that season. And now with that, we're in the springtime and going into the summer. The question I want to kind of ask you, and like you, the viewers, as well as my wife. So, how have we been pruning our marriage as we prepare for the spring and summertime?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, no. So I feel like the way we prune our marriage is different because our seasons are different than the actual seasons.
Gotcha.
Because with you being in doing baseball season now, so I feel like our pruning has started earlier.
Correct.
Okay. And so I think what we've done is been more intentional about spending time together in the mornings, on your days off or when you go in late, so that we have that time at the beginning, whether it be like walking, most of the time it's walking, or talking. We're spending that time with more time with each other when we can. And I would also say we have started or in the process of starting a new, like, what is it? It's not really a Bible study. It's a workbook.
Yeah, it's a marriage
workbook.
A marriage workbook.
So we're doing that to also kind of be intentional. And then we've gotten like associated with for corporate fellowship. So we have our group Bible study that we're a part of that I feel like has brought us closer together, as well as kind of, I feel like there's been a shift in our household.
Correct. I agree.
Even with the kids, there's just been a shift. And even when we handle stressful moments or stressful topics, we handle it differently. Okay. I think, and it's all a result of the other things that we've done intentionally for this season. Okay.
No, okay.
Because I guess I should provide a little bit background, because if someone's watching this for the first time, Jay's job is very demanding in that he has to be like on site, and it's based around the Houston sports teams, so the Rockets and the Astros. So being that if they're playing, which baseball, they're always playing, he has to be on site to help, to actually do his job. If it's a game, and then external or additional support also most of the time requires him to be, either on site or near a computer. So because of that, it requires a lot of time outside of the house, which can put more pressure on me to kind of manage the household, the kids, and everything else. Bless you.
Thank you.
During the season. So yeah, so busy season for us comes like early April.
March
or maybe
into April, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, yes.
Yeah.
We'll just say early April. So that's what it's like. So we're already kind of we're already trying to do the things to kind of, we're already doing things to help set us up for success for the season.
Yeah.
So that when summer comes, we're in our stride, and it's easier too because the kids don't have to be in school.
Correct.
So it's like managing differently. So anyway, long answer is that's what we do. I feel like.
It's. I wanted to ask that question mainly because I wanted to. Everything you said is kind of what I'm gonna break down because I'm gonna break down each area of.
All right, good. And I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to give a full answer.
That's what I wanted because you kind of gave an overview of kind of what we're doing. So I'm gonna kind of dive in a little bit more and give more details of certain things. Okay. So to start off, so there are, I'm gonna say there's 5 areas. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 5 areas. Okay. That I kind of came up with for how you can prune your marriage during this season and actually prepare each year for the season. So the first part, again, is pruning. Let me kind of give you a little definition of what pruning is. Pruning is a process of removal of diseased, damaged, dead, non-productive, structurally unsound, and otherwise unwanted plant material from a crop or landscaping plants. And then, so with pruning, it requires attention. So you have to, I'm going to put in a little, like you'll see, it kind of, what pruning is, and I'll say for grapes, like when I started to look at this, I looked at how they prune grapes. And the way grapes are pruned is in the off season, they cut part of the branch off, and it's like, they consider like a knuckle part. And what it does is after the season is over, they'll cut that part off so it won't continue to grow from that particular branch. It'll actually create a new branch from outside of it. Because basically what it does is it may look like it's healthy, but in terms it actually tends to not be healthy. That's where you have to kind of keep an eye on those particular branches. So it's like, and I'll give you an example. So we can, like, for instance, we can prune something that maybe that, we need to work on some, so we're pruning. But if we're not continuing to keep an eye on it, it may seem like everything's going well, but in terms of it actually being completely pruned, it's not, because, we haven't really worked through it and really took the time to
I have an example of that. Yeah. So, our household can be, I won't even say our household. Our relationship within our household can be very ships passing in the night, meaning that I think we have a really good plan as around like coordination of schedules, events, stuff like that. We have a pretty good system. So from the outside looking in, it would look like, oh, they're in sync, they're talking, everything's good over there. But we know that we have to be paying attention, because that we know that there's we might be we might be in sync as far as coordinating like schedules, but as far as connection, that's missing. So we would need to be paying attention to understand, oh no, our connection is lacking. So we need to do something in order to be able to make that flourish in this season.
No, that's definitely a good one. The example that I was going to use is the letter you gave me after your birthday. So that goes into like kind of communicating about the hard things. So that's kind of an example of pruning, like communicating about the hard things. So, and I'm gonna kind of explain it a little bit real short. So last year, during her birthday time, my wife, she had plans that she was gonna go somewhere. That kind of fell through. So in my head, I was like, okay, she said she wanted this, and okay, so I put money aside so when she was gonna go on a trip, she had it. But me knowing my wife, I didn't celebrate her birthday the way we normally celebrate everybody's birthday in the house, and I felt like that for me, I fell off on that one. I didn't do what I needed to do, so. And I kept going to how it was going, but I noticed there was something wrong with my wife. And this is where I say you got to keep an eye on things. So she gave me we have like a little mailbox in our bedroom that you can put the flag up. So if we get pass notes back and forth. So we, that's one of the ways we communicate, but so she gave it to me, and for me, it hurt me a lot because I missed opportunity. I missed this opportunity. I missed the opportunity to do what we normally do, but instead I kind of just, it's not that important because she's going on a cruise. So I kind of use that example because we need to have that hard conversation about the importance of celebrating our birthday every year, and especially coming from a husband, how I need to, and I didn't take it where I was angry. I knew this was an opportunity for me to try to do better and make sure that I do better next time. And I continue to daily, weekly, every month to not say to show appreciation, but make sure that my wife understands how important she is to me. So that's one example. You're making a face.
I don't have, I don't have anything to say.
Oh, okay. I'm like, if you got something to say?
No,
okay.
I don't. I mean, yes, it just took me back to that moment.
Yeah.
So that's why I was
okay.
I'm just, yes.
So that's one, and then another one is to repent and ask for forgiveness for anything that you have done. So the thing with being repentance is it requires, what is it? Genuine admission for your mistake. You can't just, you ask for forgiveness and just say, do you forgive me? But you're not showing, admittance for what you have done wrong, and, put in place ways that you can do better, and showing that you're going to do better like that. So. Yes.
So yeah, that's the good thing, or that's the thing with when you repent, you're acknowledging and then you're turning away from that thing. Mm-hmm. So you can't say, oh, my bad, and then come right back and do it again. And then also you cannot quote scripture and be like, well, we have to forgive each other 70 times 7. Like, we're not doing that. No. Because then it's like you're not really apologizing and really repenting of that act. Like, you're just doing surface level type, okay, my bad, I messed up. But you can tell when someone's being genuinely sincere. And I'm not saying that you will never make a mistake.
Correct.
Or unintentionally do that thing again, but it's unintentional versus you like, I'm gonna do it again.
And like, my bad. That's why I said genuine admission. My bad is not saying like, admitting that you did wrong. That's
right.
Not.
So in the example of the birthday, if Jay would have been like, my bad, I think I probably would have blew up, because I was just like, come on, that's all you're gonna give me?
Yeah.
So there's a thing of truly acknowledging your mistake, because we're all human, we all make mistakes. So just acknowledge the mistake and discuss ways on how you're going to work toward improving that area, and then ask for forgiveness. But also too, in that you have to be okay if that forgiveness does not come immediately, mm-hmm. because you also got to give your spouse time to process that as well.
Yeah. No, that's true. That is definitely true. Why is it not changed? Okay, so kind of we'll go on to the next part, is weeding. So this is something like we've had a garden in the past and didn't go well because we didn't weed and we didn't do anything right. So I looked up the definition of actual what weeding is, and weeding it involves removing those unwanted plants, and I'll say this for marriages, it's removing those distractions in your marriage in order to grow. So the actual term weeding, it's like weeding robs plants of the nutrients that it needs to grow. So when I was looking at this, I kind of was thinking like, so in marriages, I'm not gonna just say in mine, in marriages, what are those things that are weeds in your marriage? And I can kind of give you some examples. And if you want to kind of talk,
I got a big one.
So like one is, I'm gonna say neglecting time, with each other. And when I would say time, I mean, the physical time that you can spend with your spouse. It's the emotional time you can spend with your spouse. Mm-hmm. And even the, spiritual time. Like all those count towards, being able to pull those things out. And for instance, neglecting physical time can be, you can be on your phone.
That's what I was going to say.
You can be on your iPad. You can be always watching TV. You can be on your laptop all the time. Other ones is
like, I feel like electronics
is the big thing now.
The biggest distraction.
Yeah, now.
Also too, because we rely on it for so much.
Yeah.
Because it's not just texting and phone calls. It's email. It's you have an app on it to control like things at your house. Like it does so much. So you're constantly looking at it. You're constantly plugged in social media, and so so it's like that is a huge distraction. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that you are, in order to have the quality time with your spouse, you have to say, hey, this is a no phone zone, or this is no phone or no electronic time, and set parameters and boundaries around that in order to protect that.
Yeah, and as well as not only just the neglecting time is even work. I heard a saying, I was listening to Demas and Miro, something like Demas and Miro, and they had Kevin Hart on there, and Kevin Hart said he had, with the pandemic, he had to change the way he thought about things, and instead of dating what did he say? He said instead of me dating my family and being married to my work, he said I was married to my family and dated my work. Mm-hmm. So if we're taking if we're that with work, if you're spending all this time at work all the time and not spending the quality time with your family, not just your spouse but with your family, that's a weed that you need to slowly pull and work out. It could be hobbies. If you're spending more time doing a hobby than with your spouse, that's a weed. Yeah, you can as a couple, you can have your different hobbies that you want to do, but you have to be intentional about when you can do it and when you can't. Yeah. And then even addictions, that's a tough part, because that's something that's not only harming you, but it's harming the people that you're connected to.
Yeah.
So, and then kind of to go into the next part that kind of go together is mulch. So mulch is meant to retain moisture in the soil and help control weeds. Okay, so we put mulch all around like our flower beds and things like that, and that helps. It helps keep the weeds from growing. Sometimes weeds do come out.
Listen. The reason why he's laughing because there was a weed. It was so strong that it was like, oh, y'all gonna let me grow? Oh, okay. I'm feeling like it got thick. It was like almost like a tree, and I was just like, what? Yeah. No, sir. You're not gonna come over here and mess up our flower bed.
And we pay for landscaping. That's the thing.
Well, right, but that was like, it's like if you let these weeds go unattended, they will grow roots, and they will be like, oh, we belong here. Like we are a part of your relationship now. So you can also look at it like weeds can be can be traits or just expectations or just it can be a plethora of things.
Yeah.
But if they go untreated, they will
grab root.
Yeah, they grab root,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a part of your relationship, and then that's how you define your relationship. Oh, my husband doesn't care about me because he's always at work.
Yeah.
Well, where did that thought first start? It started with the distraction of work or being married to work versus being married to your family, and then you didn't nip it in the bud when you saw us trying to grow, and now it's a whole thing. So now that you feel that you're being neglected by your spouse, now you're trying to find other ways to satisfy or occupy your time.
Yeah.
That might not be in a healthy way. And so now it's become a part of your relationship. Now this is how you identify your marriage. Now you're like, oh, yes, I'm married. Like, now you've associated a negative connotation to your marriage or to your relationship just because you didn't deal with the weed.
So kind of like so.
Oh, also can I?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And so the thing with mulch, you can put it down, but if you don't attend to the weeds first, that weed gonna be like, hey boo, I'm right here.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's where I was gonna
mulch
go.
makes things look prettier, makes things look more uniform. But if you don't deal with the weeds first,
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was going to go because that's why I went from weeds to mulch because that's kind of, you got to prune, then you got to weed, and then you put the mulch. But if you're not attending or keeping an eye on, the weeds, you putting the mulch it's going to continue to grow out. And instead of you starving the weeds because you didn't pull them out, all you're gonna do is giving it nutrients to continue to grow. So one thing kind of like that we do, that this is something that my wife have kind of brought into our, and I'll say marriage bed, I'm gonna say it like that, is we have to go to bed at 10. See, Liz, you didn't think about that. So we go to, it's something that we do now, is that we're always either in the room by 9:30 or in the bed. And like in the bed by 10, we may have a couple some conversations beforehand, and then we go to sleep.
okay.
So for me, again, this is something that I've been working towards, and even just with my phone too. Is like I put my phone on do not disturb, so at 10 o'clock, I don't get notifications. My phone is put down, and it reinforces our relationship because we have this unattended time where we're not worrying about the TV, we're not worrying about our electronics.
Sometimes the TV.
Yeah, because we'll watch a show together.
We agreed to watch a show together.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not gonna make it to the end. But that time, yes. So it's like a time because what we were finding is that even though when we were at the house at the same time, I would go to sleep or Jay would go to sleep. We were never going to sleep at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was like we were missing out on another connection moment. And it's just, yes, that small change is more important that, and also too, because we both were always waking up and like, oh, we're so sleepy. Oh, we feel so tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to be more intentional about making sure we're going to sleep at a decent time versus doing all the other things and just going to sleep whenever we can. So now that we have this connection point, it's like literally we will, even when there are deadlines, there's things to be done, it's like you get an extra 30 minutes or whatever, like, but you need to get off the computer. It will have to wait.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure it out because especially if you're in the house, we're missing out on the connection point.
Yeah.
So put it up, figure it. Or actually, what it has done is made us more intentional on the way we schedule our day.
Yes.
And be like, okay, well, we can't just push that off because we know then we won't be able to go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
So and also it has allowed us to watch shows that each other may or may not have wanted to watch before.
Yeah. Ultimatum. I didn't want to watch that first, but now I'll watch it.
Well, and then is it a cake?
Oh yeah, see that's she just got me another one. Yeah.
So that was we watch stuff that we would probably not watch together, but It does. So that's just like another connection moment, another connection thing that we're able to do. And it also like not only does it like creating good sleep habits is beneficial, health wise, but also like I said, relationship wise.
Yeah, it's even like on the weekends when when we like this past week when we didn't have any sports and stuff like that. I extended my do not disturb on Saturday. We woke up, we watched something real quick, and
I don't
then
even know because we had several of those.
yeah. So we'll watch something together. Like in the past we watch our HGTV shows or something like that.
The brothers, what is it? The Wayne brothers.
Oh yeah, we watched. Yeah, that's what it was.
And see, that's something I wouldn't watch again.
Yeah. See, for me, I it's comedy. It's always hilarious to me. So that's a way that, like I said, for what we've done to help, as we weeded things, this is our mulch. This is how we, intentionally make sure this is the time for us to reconnect. So, again, that helps us, give nutrients to our marriage.
Yes.
So, and then kind of the next thing is, fertilizers, and so fertilizer, everybody, I guess not everybody knows, but fertilizers basically add nutrients to your plants or crops. So hold on one second, I had another definition I don't got it. And so it's, that's what it was. Did I put it in here? So there's a saying that it's always greener. What is it? It's always
the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying that, the grass is always greener
when you fertilize.
Yeah, when you fertilize. Like, so instead of looking at other couples or things outside your marriage, look at the things you can do to, give to your marriage. If it's water, if it's, you giving nutrients. Like, for instance, I got, here's a couple things we can, like, a surprise date night. If your spouse is, love language is gifts, surprise gift,
That's what I was going to say. Being more intentional about speaking in your spouse's primary love language.
Yeah. So, and then, like, even just having, like, conversation, like, what we do at night when we're off our phones, we're in the bed, we're talking, we're having a conversation. So that's something that, you can do when you get home, you have a conversation about what, your day, or even things that you thought about throughout the day that, you wanted to do. A lot of different things.
But I would even say just like a compliment here and there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, babe, I really like the way that you got up with the kids this morning.
Yeah.
Or I really like the way that you washed the dishes. Thank you for running an errand for me, that so I don't have to do it. Like, there's like all these little deposits that you can be making. If you can't, say it face to face, send a voice memo or send a text like, babe, just thinking about you.
We've been doing that a lot.
Day's crazy at work or whatever, but, just wanted to stop and, say, you're on my mind or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, like, I think what happens is that in marriages, there's like, people are looking for the big and the grand thing to do that's gonna like bring us closer together, or keep our marriage alive. And honestly, it's a lot of little things.
Yeah.
If you're intentional on paying attention and pulling up the weeds when you see them, and you're putting the mulch, and like if you stay on top of maintaining your relationship.
Yeah.
You don't require the big grand things because you're doing all the little things that get you there. Mm-hmm. So, one example, but going back to the whole, you need to pay attention to what's going on in your yard versus looking at somebody else's grass. Okay. So this is real for us because literally we're in spring and our grass was like dead over winter. It's just like, we out. Okay. But there was this one yard in our neighborhood. They've had year-around green grass. Like the greenest of grass.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how is that possible? Because their yard is getting the same weather that we're getting. And I was like legit getting jealous. Cause I'm just like, how? Because we started watering. We were like, okay, maybe because we're not watering enough. You know, we're doing all the things, but our grass is coming back, but it's not like green like theirs. Theirs has been green.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, I'm gonna go knock on their door and just ask, like, who are y'all using? What's going on?
Yeah.
But then one of my friends was like, they could be painting their grass.
Yeah.
And I said, wait, that's a thing?
Yeah.
People paint their grass, y'all. I don't know if this house is doing it, but they do. And so that's what I'm saying. If you get so obsessed on what someone else is doing and they're taking the cheap way around or it's just superficial, like, yes, our grass looks great, but it's not really healthy because we painted it.
Yeah.
You just got to stay up on the painting. Like, you don't want to start obsessing on someone else's relationship to the point where you're neglecting yours. Now, the good thing about our grass was that, yes, I was looking at theirs and just like trying to figure out what they were doing, but I was also still trying different things in our yard to resurrect our grass.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm like. So don't get obsessed with someone else's relationship to the point where you're completely neglecting yours, because I can't even imagine what our yard looked like now if we didn't do anything.
Yeah, like, and
we'll probably get HOA left.
like part of it, you know, I'll say part of it was it wasn't getting watered enough. Because for like literally when I was driving to work yesterday, I was like, "Oh, our grass looks good."
Yeah,
like, and it was because during the wintertime, I cut the water off because I didn't want the pipes to burst. So I cut it off, wrapped them. So I didn't water my grass for like probably 2.5 months. So it was like once we started to water it again, it's like, hey, I'm still here, cool. It started to come up. So,
but also too to piggyback off of that, you can't neglect your relationship for months and then expect it to flourish when you want to put it on display. Okay, so it's like
that's good.
Yes, we neglected our grass during the winter. Well, because our weather was all over the place. So, but we can't expect to. Okay, now that it's calendar spring, now my grass needs to be green. Like, what's going on? Why are you looking like this? Why are you looking neglected? Because it has been.
Yeah.
So you can't expect your relationship to all of a sudden be flourishing just because you feel like it's the season to do so. Did you put in the work? Yeah. If you didn't put in the work, don't expect the reward.
Yeah.
Like, our relationships are not like, they're supposed to be like Christ, but they're not Christ. Like, okay, so meaning you have to do the work. Like, you have to, God gives us blessings and gives us grace, but your relationship is going to take some work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, and I get the two little extra ones here. It's like, another fertilizer is just, give at least 2 hugs a day to your spouse. And one at least being 90 seconds, like a nice long hug. I like her face, that's why I did it. And then the simple thing is like, we spoke at a marriage ministry a few weeks, but early in February, end of February. And one of the things that we kind of asked, like one of the questions they asked is like, how many times have you kissed your spouse today? That's one way you can fertilize. Like, just think about it. If you kiss your spouse when you leave the house, when you come home, when you go to bed, that's 3 times. That's 3 times right there. Why not say, okay, today let's shoot for 6 times today. So now you're at, that's extra time. So you already know you're gonna get 3 in, and say let's try to get 6 today. This is just something, not saying a competition, but just something that you and your spouse can do, and that's adding fertilizer to your marriage.
Or improving the quality of the kisses.
Yeah.
Because usually, yes, it's like, oh, I'm leaving, a peck.
Yeah.
Peck, well, then why don't you lengthen the time?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
No, that's good.
I do other grown things.
So the last part is something that, a lot of us, I'm going to say in Texas, we don't, not saying all of Texas, but for me, when I first moved down here, I didn't get enough sunlight because literally I'm going from my house to my car to parking garage to work. So I was never in the sun. So, my wife kind of talked about, some of the things that we can do even with like fertilizer. And that's the same thing with sun. The way I looked at sun is those are those random acts of kindness that you do. Those are the respectful words, kind of like you're saying, like, thanks, babe, for, allowing me to sleep till like even today for me. Like, I was extremely tired, and that's like, thank you for waking up and doing everything for the kids, because I was tired when I got home from work. And then even just being patient,
That's huge.
being patient, but not just being patient, but being patient with your response when you're frustrated,
Yes.
when you're having, intense time of fellowship, with your spouse, or even just, your relationships, period. Like, pausing and being able to not just react to, your how you want to respond, but be able to think about it and be patient with it. So
Yes, and also not just being patient with your spouse, but being patient with yourself. Like, because there are things that you're working on within yourself, and you're like, well, I'm gonna be slow to anger. Because that's my thing, especially with the kids. I'm gonna be slow to anger, quick to listen, slow to speak. Like, these are things that I pray over them. So these are things that I need to also demonstrate, right? And so it can be that you're in that moment and you react first before thinking, like slowing yourself down, but you have to be able to give yourself the patience and give yourself grace too. Like, yes, this is something I'm working on. I will make mistakes, but then just apologize and even if you have to apologize to yourself, like apologize to yourself or apologize to your spouse in that moment, so that you can grant yourself the additional patience. Like, we're working, like, you're constantly working on your marriage. You're constantly working on yourself, trying to improve. Because if you improve yourself, you improve your marriage. So these are things that you could have been doing since you were born.
yeah.
Or you had this mindset since you were born. Like, so this is not going to change overnight. So you do need to be patient so that it will, so that you're putting the good things into your marriage so that will grow. So it's like patience all around.
Yeah.
It's just needed.
So those are the 5 things that we talked about. So it was pruning, weeding, mulch, fertilizer, and getting some sunlight. So we're gonna kind of end it with the marriage tips. So the marriage tip that I have for everybody is take time to identify those areas in your marriage that you need to prune. If it's not, if those areas that are not needed to be severed, meaning that you're pruning, that you're cutting off, if you don't do that, what it will do is bring toxicity into your marriage. And that's kind of what the whole, like, when you look at pruning, if you kind of dive in and look into pruning, that's what a lot of vineyards do, because those grapes may look good, but those grapes are not producing the good fruit. So that's why they cut those branches off, so it'll start a new one. So you're getting good grapes, not toxic grapes.
And I just got something. Something was just dropped in my spirit. So, because we love going to vineyards, it's like a thing we do. Certain grapes are like treated and pruned to create certain wines. So you could be doing something that is, in theory, a good thing, but is not the good thing, is not the right thing for your marriage, so that it can flourish, so it can be its best. So you want to make sure that you're that you're feeding and you're improving on the things that really cause your marriage to flourish, and not just doing a good thing, because like Jay said, it can be good. It can, nothing's wrong with a good grape, but if you're trying to make a Merlot, don't quote me on what I'm about to say. This is for illustrative purposes.
Into Chardonnay. Just say that.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're trying to get this one grape to make a not sweet wine, but the grape grows sweet, and you try to put it in there, it's not Yeah, it was a good grape,
Yeah.
but now this Merlot.
That's not the purpose of it.
Exactly, this Merlot is not right. Now it's like, oh, now we gotta make it to whatever. I don't know what is a sweeter version of a Merlot. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is you can't take one thing and try to force it to make something else. So you want to make sure that whatever you're feeding or whatever you're growing and nurturing within your relationship causes your marriage, your relationship to flourish and not just base it on something else.
That's good. No, that was good. That drop was good. Good. Yeah. So, so that's pretty much for our episode this week.
Right.
Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody.
Rate and review.
Oh, and I guess that's it, right?
That is it.
Until next week, then.
Right. Peace.
Peace.